Hi everyone, welcome to Pilates Therapy. I'm Sylvia. Today I'm doing another client request. So people that I teach online or in person have asked if I could do a shorts with using the fitball. So these are just a few exercises that we will go through. If you are looking to get a fitball, just make sure it's not too big for your body. I've seen people trying to come to class with those giant, really giant ones. And I find that when we're doing a range of exercises, they might be good for some things, but they do struggle when they're a bit too high. Mine is, like you can see, it's got a little bit of give. It could be a little bit tighter, but you don't want it too tight, and you certainly don't want to have it so then when we sit on it, which you will sit on it to start off with, we don't want it to sort of squish all the way down to the ground. So if you don't have one already, you need to just make sure that you see what size, and I think from memory, I can't remember if this was a 65 or 75 centimetre. Okay, I just got this from Kmart. You can get them all over the place. You can spend more money and get better ones. Maybe they might last longer. I'm not quite sure, but I haven't had any issues with the Kmart ones. So you can go off and get those. The other thing you might want to do is, if you haven't done any fitball stuff before, for security, sometimes people like thinking that there's something behind them or around them, so then they can grab hold of the walls or something if they need to when we do things on top of the fitball. That's entirely up to you, or just make sure you've got plenty of space. It's not very high, so make sure you've got some soft spaces to fall if you do happen to fall, which sometimes these things do happen, depending on what you're doing. So we are going to start with sitting on our fitball. And just getting, and if any people have been pregnant and they may have used their fitball as something to do with their pelvis, so you may remember the first exercise that we're going to do is just getting used to the ball and just doing some circles. So just moving our circle and our ball around using our backside. So you can have your hands wherever you feel like it, trying to sit nice and tall. Okay, don't sort of slouch down, sitting tall, and we're just rolling through our pelvis and then rolling the other direction. And this just gets you feeling like you've got control of the ball. You may wish to play with where your feet are. If you have your feet really close to the ball and really close together, that will test your balance a little bit more. So if you are feeling like you don't have the right balance, you may want to make your feet a little bit wider and maybe a little bit further away. I sort of have that in between, and I feel really secure, and I don't feel like the ball is going to run away from me. So you've got to find out where. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to sit nice and tall. Now bring your arms out into a T, and we're just going to do some twisting through our trunk, but we're trying to keep the ball still. So you are just going through your trunk. You're not moving your entire body and going all over the place with that ball. Okay, we are trying to sit nice and tall. We've got that string through our head. Okay, and we twist. Trying to maybe those palms behind us, pull a little bit more. Just a small twist. Don't forget your breathing. Just because it's simple doesn't mean that you stop breathing. Don't want you falling off the ball because you've held your breath too much. And last one in each direction. Okay, and then coming down. We're going to do one more exercise sitting on here. Now, if you haven't done this before, or it's been a long time, or your balance is off for whatever reason, which can be all sorts of reasons, you may want to have your hands on the ball. And I find that people find that's a little bit more security if your hands are on the ball. But if you can, try not to. So then the next step would be to maybe have them on your legs, so touching something. When you have got through that, you might decide to just have your hands wherever you feel more comfortable, whether it's cross behind your head, on your hips, out wide. You can choose where you have your hands and where you are comfortable. Okay, so I'm going to bring my legs a little bit in, so I've got them sort of hip width apart. Okay, we're just going to go into toe taps. So one, then the other. So you'll see the idea is to keep that ball from wobbling. So if you need to, go quickly, but if you can, slow that down. Okay, as with all Pilates, the slower we go, the more control we've got, the more our muscles are on. And you can see I'm struggling with this one today. My balance hasn't been very good lately. I have just finished having a little bit of an upset where I had some dizziness with the virus. So my balance is a little bit not quite there. But it's all about that control. Okay, you are just lifting one leg. The rest of your weight needs to stay the same. Okay, otherwise, if your weight goes onto one leg, you're going to roll all over the place. So it's that control. One more on each side. Okay, and then we're going to come off our ball. And next one, we're going to have our legs and knees on. Okay, we're just going to go through on our arms. So I like having my arms bent and wrapping. Some people like having their arms straight, but I find that I don't have the control and I feel that my elbows aren't strong enough to do this. But that's one of those things that as you do it more and more often, you might be able to find that you get better at that. And I also clasp my hands together. Okay, we're just going to roll out. So you're coming out onto straight legs and then back down. We roll out, plank, and come back in. Now, if you're putting too much weight in one direction or one arm or onto one leg, you're going to roll off to the side. So again, it's all about that connection and that thought process to go slowly. And what are you trying to achieve? We're trying to achieve to go straight out. Okay, and go slowly. Roll, weight is into my elbows. I'm trying to lift up off the ball and come down. Your bum is not up to the sky or hips down to the floor. Last one here, and then we're going to roll a little bit more. Okay, so bring that ball in a little bit more. We're going to roll because we're going to bring our hands onto the floor and then we're going to kick out that we got the right spot. This takes a little bit of trial and error to get the right spot. You need a lot of room for this one. Okay, so coming back out, got my arms on the floor. We are bending through your knees and straight out. So it's like a reverse plank. Crunch in and out. Again, if you have too much weight in one leg, you're going to roll and not roll straight. You're going to roll like crooked. And last one. Back up until you come off. All right. Then we are going to do some stuff lying on our backs. Okay, so make sure you've got your room. Lying flat on your back, melting that back into the mat. Okay, we're going to have our ball up between our hands and our feet. Okay, we're going to pull one leg and one arm off, same side, so right arm, right leg comes off and brings it back up. Hold that ball, other side. Now, if you want to, if that's too much of straight arm, you can do the same with legs and do sort of elbow. I just don't get as controlled with this one because I feel like I need to have a bit more space. But if your straight arms and legs is too much for you, go into a bent version. One more on each side. And bring everything down to the floor. We're going to bring that ball now under our feet. Okay, now we are going to do some bridges. So you need to work out where is best for your feet and feeling secure. If not, do your bridges with your feet flat on the floor. Okay, so I've got my heels planted on top. They're about hip width apart. I'm going to be, you can start with your arms on the floor. If you want to make it a little bit harder, get rid of the support of your hands, bring your arms up to the sky. But start the first one, keep those arms down so you've got that support to stop yourself from going all over the place. Bring those heels into your ball and then roll or bring your hips up and then bring it down. The slower you go, the better your muscles are going to be feeling this or more. Because your legs are up, you're going to be engaging more of your hamstrings, maybe into your calves for some people. Okay, so inhale to prepare. Squeeze those heels in, lift your hips up and come on down. And last one. Line those heels in, up and down. Roll that ball out a little bit more so you've just got your heels on. Okay, we're going to draw some rainbows. So lift one leg up, bring it up as high as you can. Bring that leg down on the other side of the ball. Lift it up, draw that rainbow heel onto the ground. Up and off, up and down. You can make it high and wide if you want to, add a little bit more. But if you are going wide with your legs, so as I go wide, you roll. We don't want to roll. Okay, you want to keep your bum flat on the floor. So if you do this and as you go, you're starting to know where you lose it. Okay, that's where you drop it to the floor. Okay, so up and out, up and out. And one more on each side. Bring that in. Then we just do our crunches. Now with this one, you can keep your head on the floor. You can bring your hands behind your head. Bring that head and chest up. We've got that orange. We're not sort of crunching and looking at our feet. We're looking above our toes. Okay. If you bring your head and chest up, it just means you're activating your core that little bit more. But if it's not for you today, just bring your head and chest down and do the leg part of it. Okay, you choose what part of the exercise you do. In and out. Try and get the full range. Straight legs. Squeeze them in as tight as you can. And out. 3, 2, and last one. And then calming on up because that is our last one. I hope you did enjoy that. It's a little bit different. So if you do have a fitball sitting around and you haven't used it for a long time, maybe try this out. If you're curious, you could get a cheapie from Kmart and see what it's all about. But please be careful, making sure it's the right size for you. If you are a smaller person, you can get some that are 45, 55 centimetres, so they're, a little bit shorter. Okay, so play around with the sizing. Certainly, unless you're like over 6 foot, I wouldn't get into the 75 centimetre ones. They can be quite tall. So you will have to maybe get some advice on that if you can find someone that will give you advice in a store. Or as I said, I think this one's a 55 or 65 centimetres. I'm about 175 centimetres tall. So that might give you a little bit of a guide. I do have one that's a little bit bigger, and depending on what I'm doing, sometimes it's a little bit too big. I think that's a 75 centimetre one. And have that control on a mat or a non-slip place, nice and soft surroundings, plenty of room in case you do happen to fall off. Have a wall or, you could have something that maybe would stop your ball in place. So then if you're doing something, it's not going to go all over the place, especially if you are beginning. I hope you do like it. Let me know. Press the thumb if you do like it. Press the bell if you want to subscribe to get emails when I do drop new ones. Have a great day wherever you are in the world, and I might see you soon. Bye.